The entire tech industry is currently running a massive psychological operation on you. Every time a new artificial intelligence model drops, the giant tech companies tell you that to run real local private AI models on your own machine requires you to spend $5,000 or more in order for you to achieve the same quality that you could get from subscribing to something like ChatGPT or Gemini. They claim that cheap entry-level laptops like the MacBook Neo are just meant for writing documents or browsing YouTube. But honestly, they're lying to you. Because today I'm going to show you how to bypass Apple's walled garden, open up a terminal window, and run super fast and efficient, powerful artificial intelligence models on this $599 MacBook Neo completely offline. No Wi-Fi, no monthly subscription fees, no data harvesting. Right now, there's a ton of content creators and developers spending thousands of dollars that they don't have because they don't seem to understand how artificial intelligence models interact with Apple Silicon. They try to load massive unoptimized models, and when the computer inevitably crashes, they blame the hardware. Today, I'm gonna break the system again and show you how to turn this $599 machine into a private local AI supercomputer. We're gonna start off by using a free open source tool called Ollama. It allows you to download massive AI brains directly into your hard drive. But if you try to do this like a normal person, you're going to instantly crash your laptop. For example, I opened up Terminal and told this $599 MacBook Neo to run Google's latest open source AI model, Gemma 4. This is a 31 billion parameter model, genius level AI from Google. But the second I hit enter, it installs the model, and this model is absolutely unusable. It produces little to no value for you if you're actually trying to do really cool things with AI. Here's why. Artificial intelligence requires VRAM, also known as random access memory. Specific models need a certain amount of storage so the model can actively think. Think of it as like the brain of the AI. So for example, that massive 31 billion parameter model I just tried to download and install requires 34 gigabytes of memory. Because the MacBook Neo only has 8 gigabytes of unified memory, the processor panics and it tries to dump the 34 gigabytes of data into an 8 gigabyte pipe. The memory overflows instantly. It dumps the AI model onto your slower internal SSD, which in turn just completely bricks the system, and the model is pretty much unusable. If you were to take this MacBook Neo into your local Apple store and show them what you're trying to do, they're going to convince you to buy a Mac Studio, which, by the way, good luck trying to get your hands on one nowadays. But as I've stated before, we don't buy our ways out of problems on this channel. We engineer our way out of them. We are going to hack this model using what I call the quantization loophole. Instead of forcing this machine to load a massive uncompressed AI model, we're going to download a mathematically crushed version of that brain. When developers quantize an AI model, they are essentially taking the high-resolution 16-bit math that AI uses to think and crushing it down into 4-bit math. It makes the file sizes drastically smaller, meaning it requires significantly less RAM to operate while retaining about 95% of the AI's actual intelligence. By the way, I buy all the gear that you see me use in these videos with my own money so I can test these absolute limits for you. If you appreciate the independent research and also want to try this yourself, make sure to use the links down in the description of this video down below. They are affiliate links, so I do get a kickback if you use those links. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it keeps this channel independent. Now, back to the terminal. We are not going to run a 31 billion parameter model. So instead, we're going to use the highly optimized 2 billion parameter model on this MacBook Neo. So after you download and install Ollama, I go ahead and jump into terminal and type Ollama run Gemma 4 :E2B. Watch what happens next. The model immediately downloads, or if you've already downloaded the model already, will immediately load into the Apple A18 Pro's unified memory. Because it's quantized, it only takes up 3 gigabytes of our 8 gigabyte pool. But here's a secret that most tech reviewers completely misunderstand about this machine. Ollama isn't just running the AI on the standard processor. Under the hood, it is hooking into Apple's proprietary Metal framework. This means that the laptop treats this AI model like a high-end video game. It forces the heavily optimized graphics processing unit, the GPU, to do all of the heavy math. For example, I asked it to write a complex Python script. Look at the activity monitor. The CPU is barely sweating, but the GPU history is completely maxed out. It is generating text at nearly 20 tokens per second that is faster than you can physically read. It feels exactly like using a paid ChatGPT or Gemini subscription. Besides downloading the model initially, there is zero internet connection required. But for those of you that may not know this, generating Python code is just a party trick. The true test of a local AI machine isn't just generating text. It is actively interrogating massive amounts of your own personal data. Normally, to have AI analyze a massive document or a spreadsheet, you have to upload it to the cloud. But if you have highly confidential data like a contract, maybe some source code, or other financial data that you just don't want to give to the cloud, there's no reason for you to give that information for a massive billion-dollar company to potentially train off of. So let's stress test this $599 machine with something incredibly heavy. So now I'm going to be using a free piece of software called Anything LLM. But before we drop our document in, we have to avoid the ultimate 8GB death trap, the KV cache. When you feed an AI a 300-page document, it requires active memory to remember all of those words while it answers your questions. This memory pool is called the key value cache. If you try to feed an 8GB Mac an unlimited amount of text, the KV cache will expand infinitely until it eats your remaining 5GB of RAM. And then your computer will begin to offload that to your slower SSD, which could result in your computer completely crashing or just going extremely slow. So to fix this, we're going to the settings and hard cap our context window to 8,000 tokens. This acts as a physical seatbelt for our RAM. I downloaded a 300-page document and I drag and drop this massive PDF directly into the interface. I asked the model to pull a summary of the data. The machine doesn't even flinch. The context window seatbelt works perfectly. The 8GB of RAM safely maxes out at exactly 7GB. And within seconds, it spits out a flawless, highly accurate summary of a 300-page document. You're essentially carrying a team of data analysts in your backpack. There are no data privacy concerns because the data that you are feeding it never leaves the laptop. And more importantly, it costs you absolutely nothing. You have to stop letting people on the internet, and especially trillion-dollar companies, telling you that you have to be rich to use the latest and greatest cutting-edge technology. If you try to run massive, unoptimized AI models on this computer, it will fail. But if you apply the quantization loophole and target 2 billion parameter models, this $599 MacBook Neo becomes one of the most cost-effective AI machines on the planet. A ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or Claude subscription will cost you hundreds of dollars a year. Don't get me wrong, big fan of Google Gemini, especially considering that this model cannot create images or videos. This entire computer costs you $599 one time, and hypothetically speaking, should run you at least 5 years, maybe longer. So remember, hardware does not dictate your capabilities. The knowledge of the systems that you own and use every day do. And also, if you don't own the MacBook Neo, you'd be surprised at what models you can actually use on the equipment that you own right now. Heck, this Gemma 4 model that I ran on the MacBook Neo, it can run on an iPhone. So don't make any excuses that you don't own any equipment that can run these models locally. Do your research, and I promise you, you'll be able to find a computer that you have laying around that can run one of these models. We have conquered 4K video editing and have hacked local AI on an 8GB machine. But I'm not done finding the limits of this $599 MacBook Neo. There's still massive pieces of software that strike fear into the heart of cheap computers like this one. So I put together a master playlist that you can find right here, in which I push this machine to its absolute physical limits. We are throwing Hollywood color grades, intense rendering and editing workflows, and also using software that Apple explicitly says it should not run. Click on the playlist right here and I'll see you on the next test.